Something unexpected just happened with NASA's long-awaited Artemis II mission.
NASA's latest moon mission is being delayed after a rehearsal launch failed at the last minute. Artemis II was to send 4 astronauts to the moon and back this week, but a fuel leak means the trip will now not occur until next month at the earliest.
It didn't launch when planned. Engineers hit a critical roadblock during the final wet dress rehearsal, and the first crewed lunar flight in more than half a century has now slipped from February into March. But this isn't just another schedule change. It exposes a stubborn technical challenge that refuses to go away, and it raises bigger questions about safety, risk, and readiness. Today, we'll unpack what really caused the delay, why it matters so much, and what it quietly tells us about humanity's return to the moon. At the center of this delay is a problem that sounds deceptively small: a hydrogen leak. Yet in rocketry, hydrogen is one of the most unforgiving substances engineers ever work with. During Artemis II's final full-scale pre-launch test, known as the wet dress rehearsal, NASA loaded the Space Launch System with cryogenic propellants and ran the countdown exactly as they would on launch day. Everything looked normal until late in the process, when sensors detected hydrogen leaking at the interface between the rocket and its ground support systems. This wasn't a cosmetic issue. Hydrogen leaks are treated with extreme caution because hydrogen molecules are incredibly small, allowing them to escape through microscopic gaps that other fuels would never pass through. Worse, hydrogen is highly flammable, and when combined with oxygen in the wrong place at the wrong time, the consequences can be catastrophic. NASA's safety rules allow only tiny, tightly controlled leak rates. During the rehearsal, the leak exceeded those limits, triggering an automatic shutdown just minutes before engine ignition. What makes this especially important is that Artemis II isn't NASA's first encounter with hydrogen trouble. Similar issues appeared during Artemis I, the uncrewed test flight in 2022. While that mission eventually launched successfully, it made one thing clear: hydrogen systems remain one of the hardest aspects of the SLS rocket to fully tame. The difference now is that Artemis II will carry people. That single fact changes everything. A minor issue that might be tolerated on an uncrewed mission becomes unacceptable when astronauts are on board. NASA engineers aren't just looking for a rocket that mostly works. They need absolute confidence that every valve, seal, and connector behaves predictably from fueling through launch. This is why NASA stopped the rehearsal instead of pushing through. The goal of the wet dress rehearsal isn't to launch, it's to uncover problems before launch day. In that sense, the test did exactly what it was designed to do. The leak wasn't a failure of the mission, it was a successful warning. And that warning forced NASA to ask a hard question. If this issue shows up on the ground, under controlled conditions, what happens when the rocket is fully committed to flight? That question leads directly to why this delay matters far beyond the calendar. It's easy to look at this delay and see nothing more than a slipped launch window. But Artemis II isn't just another mission on NASA's manifest. It's a turning point. This flight will send 4 astronauts on a multi-day journey around the moon, pushing humans farther from Earth than they've traveled since the Apollo era. That makes Artemis II less about speed and more about trust. Trust in the rocket, trust in the spacecraft, and trust in the systems that keep humans alive in deep space. The hydrogen leak revealed something crucial. NASA is no longer willing to accept uncertainty at this stage. During the rehearsal, engineers gathered massive amounts of data, not just about the leak itself, but about how the entire fueling system behaves under real launch conditions. That data now needs to be analyzed, understood, and validated before anyone straps in. NASA's decision to delay the launch reflects a broader shift in philosophy. Instead of treating launch dates as immovable targets, the agency is treating them as flexible outcomes that depend on readiness. Artemis II must succeed not just as a mission, but as a proof of confidence for everything that follows, especially Artemis III, which aims to land astronauts on the lunar surface. This is why NASA plans to conduct another wet dress rehearsal after making adjustments. They want to see the full countdown again, including the most stressful late-stage fueling conditions, without the leak reappearing. Only then can they say with confidence that the system is behaving as expected. There's also a human dimension to this delay that often gets overlooked. The Artemis II crew had already entered quarantine in preparation for the original launch window. With the delay, they've stepped back out, returned to training, and reset their timeline. That flexibility reflects an understanding that human spaceflight isn't just about machines. It's about people adapting to complex, evolving situations. Ultimately, this delay shows that Artemis II is being treated as a foundation, not a race. NASA isn't trying to prove it can launch on a specific day. It's trying to prove it can launch safely, repeatedly, and reliably. That mindset may frustrate impatient observers, but it's exactly what a sustainable return to the moon demands. And when you zoom out even further, the implications extend beyond NASA itself. On paper, a 1-month delay doesn't sound dramatic. But in reality, Artemis II sits at the center of a tightly linked chain of missions, partnerships, and expectations. Any movement here ripples forward. Artemis II validates Orion's life support systems, navigation, communications, and heat shield in deep space. Without that validation, Artemis III cannot proceed with confidence. By delaying now, NASA is protecting the credibility of the entire Artemis program. A rushed launch that ends in an abort, or worse, would damage trust far more than a cautious pause. In modern spaceflight, perception matters almost as much as performance. Artemis is being watched not only by space enthusiasts, but by governments, international partners, and private industry. The delay also highlights how unforgiving deep space engineering truly is. Hydrogen doesn't care about schedules or politics. It follows physics, and physics demands respect. By choosing to stop, investigate, and retest, NASA is acknowledging that reality rather than fighting it. This moment also reframes how we should think about progress. Progress isn't always linear. Sometimes, it looks like stopping at the edge of a cliff and choosing not to step forward until you're sure the bridge is solid. Artemis II's delay is exactly that kind of moment. Importantly, this pause doesn't mean momentum is lost. Engineers are working, data is being analyzed, fixes are being tested, and new launch windows are already identified. The mission is moving forward, just not blindly. If anything, this delay strengthens the case that Artemis is not a repeat of past mistakes. It shows that lessons from earlier programs have been learned. Don't normalize anomalies, don't downplay warning signs, and don't let deadlines override safety. When Artemis II finally launches, it will do so not because the calendar demanded it, but because the system earned that moment. And that distinction is what separates a symbolic mission from a sustainable future in deep space. When you strip away the headlines, this Artemis II delay tells a reassuring story. It says that NASA is listening to its data, respecting its engineers, and prioritizing astronaut safety over optics. The hydrogen leak didn't stop the mission. It protected it. Artemis II isn't late. It's being prepared properly. And when humans finally set off around the moon once again, they'll do so knowing that every warning was heard, every system was tested, and every risk was taken seriously. So here's the real question. When the countdown finally reaches 0, will this delay be remembered as a setback? Or as the moment NASA proved it learned how to go back to the moon the right way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on space exploration and scientific discoveries. Your support truly makes a difference and helps this channel grow. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.